Instant runoff voting, the lesser of two evils and the vote your conscience myth. We've all seen the glossy brochures that talk about our voting systems that alienates voters who get tired of voting for the lesser of two evils instead of voting for the candidates they really like, and that the solution is instant runoff voting. This comes from a brochure from the New America Foundation. There's also papers been written, this one from Instant Runoff Voting, The Solution to the Lesser of Two Evils from Daniel Solit. And articles on overhauling the American political system with instant runoff voting. Here you are free to vote your conscience. You don't have to worry about throwing away your vote on someone who can't win. And in this very expensive brochure, it asks, do you wish you could vote your conscience without wasting your vote? This comes from Fair Vote, Minnesota. What's interesting to note is the leaders of Fair Vote, Minnesota were recently fined the maximum amount for violating state election laws in promoting instant runoff voting. So let's do a fact check. We're going to take a look at the Burlington, Vermont's 2009 mayoral race. And this is the second time they've run an instant runoff voting election. Let's take a look at the initial results. We can see that Montrell lost the first round here in the first place votes. He had 2,554 votes. But if we take a closer look, we can see that he had a great deal of support for those who chose him second, about 3,500 votes. Now this is going to come into play a little bit later. As you know, with instant runoff voting, the person who loses the first round is eliminated and their votes are removed and redistributed. You can see that 455 were thrown out. They're not counted again. And we'll go ahead and take writes votes and add them up. And then we'll find out the second places for writes and put those in. And we'll see that Wright now has 4,064 votes. We'll do the same for Kiss and add his up, the second place ones for Kiss coming over from Montrell, and Kiss has 4,314 votes. And Kiss wins a second term. So let's get beyond the glossy brochures and the talking points and see what the true story is. In Burlington, Vermont, there's been only one Republican mayor in over 45 years. And once you have some previous experience with instant runoff voting, you can start gaming the system. You know how it works. And candidates with broad support might not have a chance if they're eliminated first. Let's see if the supporters of Wright, the Republican, really did the correct thing in voting their conscience. After all, IRV is advertised as being able to vote your conscience without worrying that your least favorite candidate will be elected because you did so. You can see only 495 Wright supporters had Kiss as their second choice. They preferred Montrell 3-1. Now let's take a look at what the Wright supporters should have done if they wouldn't have fallen for that vote your conscience stuff. 400 Wright supporters should have selected the lesser of two evils, putting Montrell first and Wright second, knowing that Wright probably wouldn't have won. You see, because Burlington has only had one Republican mayor in over 45 years. By voting for the lesser of two evils, Wright would be eliminated. With instant runoff voting, the votes are then redistributed. And we'll take a look and find what Montrell would get. We'd take the second place ones from Wright's, and Montrell would get 4,997. And adding up Kiss, along with the 495 from Wright supporters, he has 4,314, and Montrell is the winner with 4,997, and Kiss loses. So Wright supporters voted their conscience, and because of that, their least favorite candidate won. If they voted for their lesser of two evils with instant runoff voting, they would have been better off. Saying that instant runoff voting solves the problem of having to vote for the lesser of two evils and that you can vote your conscience truly is a myth. It does not work as advertised. We've proven in a real election, voting your conscience can put your least favorite candidate in office, and instant runoff voting does favor the extreme candidates. It can quickly knock out candidates that have a broader support or a lot of second place votes. And after a while, you can begin to game the vote. With previous experience, you know how it works. We've seen that now the Gore, Nader, Bush 2000 vote for your favorite and the worst guy wins can happen with instant runoff voting. Let's take a closer look at that brochure from Fair Vote, Minnesota. You remember them, the ones who were recently fined by the state for making false claims. They write that in other voting systems, some voters inadvertently help elect their least favorite candidate, and other voters face the dilemma between expressing their true preferences or making strategic compromises. We've proven that this happens with instant runoff voting as well, and it has happened in the Burlington, Vermont election. This brochure is not telling the truth. Maybe that's why Burlington, Vermont voters are considering repealing instant runoff voting with a vote in March 2010. But they're not alone. Cary, North Carolina, Pierce County, Washington, Aspen, Colorado, and even the Republican State Party of Utah all have voted to scrap the latest worn-out fad called instant runoff voting. Go beyond the instant runoff voting talking points. Educate yourself a little bit about instant runoff voting.